Hi everybody, this is Craig Tanner for the Mindful Eye and the Photo of the Week on the Daily Critique. This week's Photo of the Week was created by Bill, who's an intermediate photographer from Virginia. Bill created this image for the Mindful Eyes Community Assignment number 22. The concept was the road, and it was a conceptual assignment. So you could essentially take that title, the road, and you could interpret that however you wanted. Really love Bill's interpretation of the assignment concept here. One of the things I like right away about the image is what a powerful use of backlight this is. Backlight, where we're just shooting right into our light source. There's the sun right there. It can be a pretty difficult quality of light to work with, particularly if we're working in color. Going to monochrome here is letting Bill get away with real high contrast a lot easier than it would be to get away with that in color. In a color file, white is the absence of color, and so white, very, very bright areas, blowouts, can have a lot more visual weight. So I love the backlight. I love going to monochrome in this backlight. I love the way the backlight is creating this pattern of shadow that's coming off of the trees. It's just creating a real simple repetition in the negative space of the road, so you get this really beautiful just sort of 1-2 punch here with the trees, and that's on the y-axis. And I really love on the x-axis how this really beautiful cloud formation over here balances the partially cropped tree here. Another thing that I really enjoy is the way this opening actually takes me out to something that is beautiful but also rhymes. One of the major design motifs in the shot. Another tree out here, and also really beautiful how the tree is in some respects kind of in the same plane as far as distance from the camera in the image as the monument. And those three subjects, the runner, the monument, and the tree, kind of form a beautiful implied triangle of energy. In a lot of ways this is just a huge environment dominant shot for the runner on the road. And you can't talk about this image without talking about the moment here with the runner. Just really powerful. You get a sense of the full stride and really moving forward with the one leg up and a ponytail or pigtail here flying out. You really get a sense of movement, which is beautiful. And the shadow from the monument and the way the runner is sort of in that shadow and silhouette but then breaks this line up here really draws attention to the runner as the main subject. It's interesting, there's a jet trail in here, and a lot of times those can be major distractions, but because of these real strong horizontal lines on the road itself, to me there's a balance there that works really well. It's a really powerful environment dominant shot of this person running. Really enjoy it. Chose one other image from this assignment. This one was created by Tom, who's an intermediate photographer from Tennessee. Tom shot this with a Canon 50D, ISO 1250, 28 to 35 zoom at 28 millimeters. So after the crop factor, this is close to a 50 millimeter shot, a little bit less than that. And f9 and 1/10 of a second is the other exposure information. And Tom says he shot this through the windshield of his car, and I'm assuming the car is moving here. So you combine that with 1/10 of a second, and you get some motion blurs, but still quite a bit of a sense of the design of the road and the trees. So it's almost just like the feeling of the camera shaking. So it really does give me a sense of moving along in the car when you combine that with the curve in the road, the icy road, and the warning sign here for the turn. And the real strong difference between cool and orange. Really powerful graphic shot. Tom submitted the black and white version of this. I like the color version a lot better. It's interesting, in the other image I talked about converting to black and white and how I like that better. Part of it has to do with the high contrast, but some of it also has to do with the fact that this is ultimately a shot of a person. And we can start to imagine if we shot this in color, let's say the person's jogging suit is a strong color. Just that in and of itself could start to come with emotional baggage. Some people like the color, some people don't. It reminds people of some things. It changes the story. It makes the story potentially more specific and more ordinary. To me, in this image, this is a really powerful example of color working really well with the concept. Obviously, the orange of the sign here really points to sort of the main idea of the image, which is the feeling that you might get of driving along quickly on this icy, curvy road. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here, if we're just talking about working traditionally, and we are talking about working with design, and we're willing to think and talk about design. I know, very, very scary for some people, but it'll be okay if we do it, I think. We've been doing it now for 5 years, and the world hasn't tilted on its axis, although some people act like I could make the world tilt on its axis because I'm just willing to come online and critique a few images. Anyway, don't let me get started on that. When I talk about design and I talk about simplifying, one of the things that I talk about and I think about in my own work is the idea of colors being shapes and shapes being colors, and cutting down on the number of colors. And this image really just has two colors, and in some respects you could say that the sky, which is the subject, is one color and the sign is another color. So just love the simplicity of color here and how the color itself totally obviously goes along with the message of the image itself. Two great images for this assignment. I want to say a huge thank you to Tom and Bill for creating these images. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who participates in our community assignments. Would love to have you join us in that part of the community. We have a few weekend events that are left. Austin, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, and Nashville, Tennessee. Austin and Phoenix are coming up in March. We would love to have you join us at one of our weekend events. We now only have space in our spring workshops on one workshop, and that is, as far as testimonials go, we've gotten more unsolicited testimonials for our Next Step, the Artist Journey workshop, than any other workshop I've ever taught. It's in one of my favorite places in the world, Savannah, Georgia. We have just a couple of spaces left on that workshop in March, and we would love to see you there. And I also want to mention that I'm really happy to be announcing that I'll be teaching for the Pacific Northwest Art School on Whidbey Island in Puget Sound this summer, July the 26th through the 30th. The workshop's already listed on their website. If you go to Pacific Northwest Art School online, then we'll have a page up that links over to them pretty soon on the Mindful Eye. They're a nonprofit, so it's the most affordable week-long workshop that I'll teach all year long, only $775. Would love to see you on Whidbey Island. I've taught, this will be I think my 10th workshop that I've taught there. Know the island really well. We have a great time. We go over to Port Townsend. Love to see you on that workshop. Thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you again real soon on the Mindful Eye.